Okay, so for the next module, we're going to show how to create marks, how to delete marks, make tracks, routes, anything to do with the basic plotting functions of the system. So as you see, our vessel sailing along here. If we want to drop an event mark, normally on most systems you'll see here you have 3D circle and then you'll have a mark button. I have a little more advanced system, so I don't have that mark button there, but I can use the spacebar and it will put an event mark, the spacebar on the keyboard, that is. And there are keyboard shortcuts in the manual to show event mark, start track, stop track, zoom in. So the keyboard is a handy device to have close if your vessel is capable of having the spot there, or if you like using it there. So it's nice for comments. So I'm going to show you. So there's the event mark. If I want to drop a second mark, I can do so. It'll drop it. Now let's say I go out the next day. I have one menu to go to, and I want to change my default symbol. Say I want to go to a red triangle, for instance. I go Layers and into Private Plotter Data under Default Settings. So in here, I come right down to the event mark symbol, and here's my options. I can choose, so say I do a red triangle, I choose that and I say OK. Now while I'm in this menu, I might as well explain it. These are plot layers, and I'll get to those later. They're a whole module in itself. But here's where you set your default track color. So if you want red today, yellow the next day, green the next day, this is where you set it. The other stuff here, the technician or installer will set this up normally, so you don't have to bother with this, but again, it's all preferences. So let's say I went to the red triangle and I'm at a yellow track right now, so I hit OK. So now next time I go put an event mark in, there's my red triangle. Okay, so if you notice here off to the right hand side, every time I put a mark there, I'm going to finish that. Every time I put a mark, there'll be something that pops up on the left here, on the right, sorry. And basically what that is, it's an information box about this present mark. You can see it highlighted here. So if I look at it, number one, it's showing me distance from the vessel, which is increasing because I'm sailing away. But it does have the lat long position. I can click Edit, and from that Edit menu, here's my list of marks that I have, all the different symbols, and the plot layer where it's stored, and I'll explain that later. You have an option, Move it to Ship. So if I want to move it to the ship, do I really want to move this to the ship? Yes, that mark will come to the ship. Again, could be an old one, could be anything. That edit feature is very important because when I click edit, basically it frees up that mark. I can move it. If I go to any other mark, I can't move them. Okay, so even if I click finish here and I click on this mark, it'll highlight, I can't move it. But once I hit the edit button, then it's free to move. Okay, I'll show you a couple examples of marks, what you can have. You can have a mark like, let me pull down these little circles. These are marks with the cursor, and all I'm doing is holding down the mouse button and dragging it where I want to put. When I find a place, I can let it go. So say I wanted a yellow X there, I can put that, and I click finish. Then I bring down, and let's say I have another yellow X, but this time I'm going to type a comment with it, and I'm going to say good spot. Okay, so now you see the difference with those two. Now I'm going to go grab a third one, and again a yellow X, but now this time I could say great spot. Okay, now let's say I wanted to put more information. Of course I don't want to clutter up my screen, so if you look over in the box here, you'll see a place called Edit Text, and with that Edit Text it gives you kind of like a notepad, and I could say, temperature was 38 degrees. For the water, I could say it was great. It caught 100 pounds. Oops. Caught 100 pounds. You could put all kinds of information. So I'm just going to put some gibberish here. Like that. So when I'm done, I click finish. So if we look back at these marks, we have the first mark with nothing, we have the second mark with a comment, The third mark has a comment, but it's got a little white box here. So what that tells me, and you see when I touch it, I'm not clicking, I'm just touching it and it highlights. When I click on it, then it gives me all the information that I wrote there. So basically it's to reduce screen clutter. Very nice feature. I see a lot of fishermen use it. You know, and it's your own personal marks. So, you know, it's pretty secure in that sense. So to delete marks, again, very simple. Click, edit, delete mark. It's the same feature for everything. Click, edit, delete mark. Click, edit, delete mark. Okay. Okay, so that kind of covers marks. Again, if you want to get real fancy, you can delete by track color. You can delete by event mark symbol. You can delete by a bunch of different ways in turning things on or off. So I can actually go here to this layers menu, and I'll explain it later, and I can delete everything. So if we go to the track feature, so our vessel's chugging along here, and I click track. So it puts a single flag at the start. I'm going to over zoom here a bit just so you can see it well. Put a single flag, and then when I'm done my track, I click it again, and it puts a double flag. So right away I can see where I started, where I ended. So let's say that's day one, and I tracked in yellow. Then I can come back to that same one menu I go to each time, default settings, and I'm going to say, okay, I'd like to have a green track today. And I hit OK. And then I use track again. It starts tracking. This time it's going to be in green. As you can see, it goes out. And then the next day, layers, default settings. I go here and I say, well, I'd like to have a maroon track today. So I go there and I click track again. So I hope you get the indication of this, that it's a lot of the same buttons you're clicking to get the feature. So I unclick track again. So now, again, if I want to delete, let's say I want to delete my green track, I can go click on it. It gives me a box, tells me when it's made. I hit edit, and then I go delete all. The reason it's delete all is because it's aligned with 2 marks, so it's 3 items. That's why it's not just a single delete mark. So I click here, edit, delete all, click here, edit, delete all. Okay. So that would be the basic marking and tracking. Again, if you want to use the keyboard, you can use F6. We'll start your track and you'll see it grays out here when it's on. Some people like to put an indication in the middle. Maybe you're lobster fishing doing different size trawls. You can hit the spacebar, put an event mark in between to differentiate different size trawls. However, whatever your personal preference is to use. So that's the basic idea of marking and tracking. I'm going to go, next module will be explaining routes and boundaries and things like that. Okay.